Right now, somewhere, a retired teacher is getting paid for owning a stock she bought years ago and forgot about. You clock in, you clock out, and the second that paycheck lands, it's gone. Rent, groceries, gas, gone. Every month. But what if your money could clock in and work a shift it never has to show up for? Today, I'm showing you how wealthy investors get paid just for owning something. The one thing most people scroll straight past. Okay, so what is a dividend actually? Basically, it's a company looking at its profits at the end of the quarter and going, hey, we made some money. Here's a slice for you, the owner. And yeah, if you own even one share of a company, you are an owner. A tiny one, sure, like owning 1 square inch of a football field, but an owner. Side note, I used to think dividend was one of those boring grown-up words, right up there with escrow and amortization. Total snooze-fest vocabulary, you know? Turns out it might be one of the most important words in your entire financial life. Funny how that works. Here's how I picture it though. Imagine the kid down the street opens a lemonade stand and you chip in 20 bucks for cups and lemons. End of summer, she hands you $5 back because hey, the stand did well and you helped fund it. You didn't squeeze a single lemon. You didn't stand in the sun for 6 hours. You just owned a piece of it. That $5, that's a dividend. Now scale that up. Companies like Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble companies that have been quietly selling soda and toothpaste for, I don't know, 100+ years take a slice of their profits every 3 months and just send it to you. Not literally in an envelope it lands in your brokerage account, but you get the idea. I remember the first time it happened to me. I'd bought, I think, 12 shares of some random dividend stock, honestly couldn't tell you why I picked it. And 3 months later, this tiny notification popped up, plus $4.37. And I sat there grinning at my phone like I'd won something. It was $4, but something clicked. I didn't do anything for that money. Didn't go to work for it. Didn't sell a thing. It just showed up because I owned something. And here's the thing, most brokerage apps will literally tell you whether a stock pays a dividend and how much. It's usually sitting there in tiny gray text, completely ignored. So go look seriously. Pause the video and go check one stock you already own. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting and honestly, where most people mess up without realizing it. Dividends don't just appear randomly. There's a whole little dance with dates, and if you don't know it, it can bite you. First, there's the declaration date the company basically stands up and says, yep, we're paying a dividend, here's how much. Then comes the ex-dividend date, and this is the big one, so stick with me. If you buy the stock on or after this date, you do not get the upcoming payment. You have to own it before that date. After that is the record date, basically a snapshot of who owns what, and finally, the payment date, when the cash actually lands. I learned this the hard way, by the way. Early on, I saw a stock about to pay a nice dividend, and I thought, ooh, free money. Let me grab some shares real quick. So I bought it the day before the ex-dividend date, feeling pretty clever about myself. Got the payment, sure, but the stock price dropped by almost that exact amount the very next day. My buddy texted me that night going, wait, Steve, didn't you just buy that yesterday? Why is it already down? And I had to admit, yeah, that was on me. The company had literally just sent that cash out the door, so the value walked out with it. I basically paid myself with my own money and felt like a genius for about 4 hours. So, quick takeaway. If you're buying a stock specifically to grab a dividend, check the ex-dividend date first. Otherwise, you might just be buying yourself a tiny tax headache for nothing. Okay, but here's the part that actually changes everything. The part that, if it really clicks for you, can quietly reshape your entire financial future. It's called reinvesting your dividends. You'll sometimes see it written as DRIP, Dividend Reinvestment Plan. Instead of taking that little cash payout and, I don't know, grabbing a coffee with it, you set it up so it automatically buys you more shares of that same stock. And those new shares, they also pay dividends next quarter, which buy more shares, which pay more dividends, which buy more shares. And the best part, you don't even have to think about it after you flip the switch. It just runs quietly in the background while you're out living your life. It's less like a paycheck and more like a snowball rolling down a hill. Tiny at first, almost embarrassingly small, like $4.37 small, but it picks up a little more snow with every single rotation. And given enough hill, enough time, it stops being a snowball at all. It becomes an avalanche. That's not me exaggerating for effect. By the way, that's literally just what compound growth looks like when you let it run for 20 or 30 years. Honestly, if this is the first time someone's connected those dots for you, that right there is worth a subscribe. Because next time, I'm breaking down the dividend traps that quietly wipe out beginners, and trust me, you'll want that warning before you need it. Now, before you go dumping your savings into the highest yielding stock you can find, let me pump the brakes for a second, because high yield can be a trap. And honestly, it looks a lot like one of those too good to be true dating profiles. A company offering a juicy 12% yield isn't necessarily generous. Sometimes it's desperate. A lot of the time, the stock price has crashed, which mathematically makes the yield look huge, and the company's payout ratio shoots past 100%, meaning it's paying out more than it even earns. So it's basically borrowing money just to keep paying you, like eating the seed corn instead of planting it for next year. That's not a gift. That's a company quietly bleeding out while smiling at you and waving. And yeah, I've fallen for this one too, more than once. So what do you look for instead? Companies with a track record of not just paying dividends, but raising them year after year, through recessions, through crashes, through everything life throws at them. There's even a list of companies that have raised their dividend for at least 25 years straight. People call them dividend aristocrats. And honestly, just knowing that one term puts you ahead of, I'd say, 90% of people who own stocks and couldn't tell you a single thing about what they actually hold. So let's bring this back down to earth for a second. Why does any of this actually matter to you? Sitting there right now, maybe on your lunch break, maybe scrolling in bed at midnight when you really should be asleep? Because dividends are proof. Real, tangible proof that money can work even when you can't. You get sick, you lose a job, you take a vacation, your dividend doesn't care. It shows up anyway, quietly, like clockwork, whether you're paying attention or not. And over enough years, with enough patience, those small, almost forgettable payments can grow into something that covers a bill, then a few bills. Then, maybe if you let it run long enough, your whole life. This isn't about getting rich overnight, and honestly, if anyone ever tells you it is, run the other way. It's slow. It's almost boringly slow, but so is a tree growing, and nobody stands under a tree 20 years later, full of fruit, complaining that it took too long. So here's my gentle little nudge for today. You don't need a fortune to start. You need a few dollars, an open brokerage account, and the patience to just let it sit. Let it grow quietly in the background of your life. Check back in a year, not tomorrow, because somewhere down the road, there's a version of you sitting on a porch, getting paid for owning something they bought years ago and almost forgot about. And that version of you is counting on the one watching this right now to take it seriously, starting today.